With the world becoming increasingly more online, video game culture has changed alongside the modern world. But what happened first? Online games or online society? Online systems that set the foundation for games and social platforms alike were in development from the 1970s. There's some debate about what game was the first online game due to technological nuances. However, the first commercial online game was Islands of Kesmai, released in 1985, allowing up to 6 players. Quake World, StarCraft, and Counter-Strike all came next. The first social networking platform was Bolt, released in 1996. Yahoo Messenger and MSN came out a few years later, with Habbo Hotel shortly following. Although marginal, online games were slightly ahead of the social networking platforms in terms of releases. I was also curious about when some other social media platforms and online games launched, so here's that if you're interested. Social platforms gamers use include Twitter, Reddit, and Discord, among others. Online culture has changed how we interact within the gaming space in the past decade, not only on social media, but within online games as well. Like all social interaction, it can be both a blessing and a curse. Let's take a look at both the positive and negative impacts online culture has had inside the gaming space. The online world has given us access to platforms where we can buy and review games, as well as socializing communities around them. We'll be talking about communities specifically in the next video in this series, so subscribe to make sure you don't miss it. Being online has allowed us to connect with people all around the world, exposing us to new cultures that we might not have the opportunity to meet in person. This has introduced us to a diverse range of people, which has influenced the design choices of games. How diversity is implemented within media can be a controversial topic, but an important one. When done well, we can get a whole host of interesting and dynamic characters from different backgrounds, with relatable personality traits. However, sometimes it feels as though characters are forced into diversity just to tick a box, rather than considering the source material. Stories centered around underrepresented communities, such as Ghost of Tsushima, Celeste, or even Grand Theft Auto, come across a lot better than games that throw in half-baked characters, such as Frey from Forspoken, or the character choices in the Battlefield 5 campaign. I'd like to clarify that having diverse characters within games is an amazing thing, but it's important to have those characters make sense within the story. Don't make Gandalf black or James Bond a woman for the sake of diversity. Create genuine characters in new stories, as they feel much less forced and have a lot more impact. Another problem that comes up about diversity is how issues around minority communities appear. However, it's never the people from those communities that have the issue. For example, when Ghost of Tsushima released, its developers Sucker Punch faced criticism from Western audiences and journalism, claiming it was racially stereotyping. However, Japanese audiences, arguably one of the most important audiences, fell in love with the game and praised how it presented the hardship of the samurai. The actual Japanese island in real life, Tsushima, awarded 2 senior members of the development team as permanent ambassadors for the island, because they were so impressed and honoured with how the game presented their history. Once again, white people trying to ruin everything. The rise of social media platforms has also led to more people being able to stand out and have a voice. New job roles of content creators, influencers, streamers, and whatever else you want to call them, have emerged in almost every industry. Within gaming, this started as Let's Plays and has developed into video essays, short-form content, and streaming esports. Building communities around the same game genre, or sharing the latest news and trends within the gaming industry has never been easier now we're all connected. However, like all good things, this has brought about harmful behaviour, whether it's from the content creator themselves or their communities. In recent years, we've had too many examples of influencers being too influency, where they've tricked or scammed their communities, or in extreme cases, abused their younger audience members. It's also become incredibly easy to spread misinformation on the internet, with some people purposefully making up lies, and others just not understanding the difference between opinion and fact. Consumers of content creators are also too quick to take what they're listening to as fact, which is something becoming more common in younger generations. Just because someone can make a fun TikTok video or type a witty tweet doesn't make it truthful. Most of the time, it's just someone's opinion that's been taken literally, causing arguments online that have no merit. Being online is a great thing. We get to socialize with friends, family, and strangers wherever we are. Socializing is part of the human existence, making connections with other people makes us happy, and so online culture can benefit our mental health. If you spend too much time in the dark corners of the internet, or on a League of Legends subreddit, you'll notice a decline in positive interaction, and a negative effect on mental health, causing damaging interactions. These can be seen both on social media platforms and in-game. Online social platforms have allowed us to share media with ease, whether it's official content or fan-made. This has empowered the average person to become more creative, whether they realize it or not. Clipping funny moments in games, to making 20-minute YouTube videos. Making a meme that roasts your friend, to uploading short clips on TikTok. Before we moved society online, creativity was limited to painting on a canvas or blowing down a recorder for an hour at school. Now we have a whole new way of expressing ourselves, with new job roles that have appeared due to advancing technologies and changing attitudes to online content. This has come with its problems though, as with Snapchat, Instagram Reels, TikTok and YouTube Shorts, attention spans are decreasing. Short-form content has been popularized, with your average phone user deciding whether to watch your content or scroll on in 1.7 seconds. Scientists now believe we have shorter attention spans than goldfish, so good job us. In fact, in one study done with TikTok users, 50% of participants said that videos longer than 1 minute were stressful. One of my main gripes with online culture is how it's made some people develop this self-righteous attitude. People can't have their own opinion anymore without being slandered for it, as there's a particular group of people that don't understand how someone couldn't agree with their own opinion. Meaningful debate and considering different viewpoints doesn't happen now. It's always someone trying to one-up someone else. Imagine having a different opinion to someone. Your favorite color's blue? Go kill yourself. That's the standard online experience. People don't understand the difference between objective and subjective opinions. Objectively, Resident Evil 4 Remake was a great remake, based on aspects such as game design, sales, and community sentiment. Subjectively, you may prefer the original RE4, but to call the remake bad because it's not your preferred game is borderline narcissistic, and you should get help. This also reflects in how people approach games online. At the end of the day, games are a product aimed at a particular audience. If you're not in that target audience, then why are you making hate comments on the game's Twitter page? If you've never played a Metroidvania, then you don't get to tell the developers how to make a good one. We wouldn't look at the latest water bottle release and write a strongly worded email to the engineers that designed it and tell them the ergonomic design of the cup handle doesn't perfectly match my hand shape, so it's terrible and they should remove it from the market and I hope their family gets cancer. Why is it any different with games? Some of those within the online games community are unable to realize the difference between objective and subjective opinions. Sometimes a game will have fundamental flaws, and pointing them out can really upset this crowd. Take Baldur's Gate, for example. It won Game of the Year because it was recognized by industry experts and consumers alike that it pushed boundaries within the RPG genre, showing a real sense of care for the game that they made. However, it still had its issues. With the PlayStation 5 version, there were a few issues that in some cases made the game impossible to play. This included artifacting, characters getting frozen in place, as well as the game straight up crashing. Objectively, these bugs made the PS5 users have a worse experience of the game. No one with any sense was calling it a bad game because of it, but just pointing out these facts seems to trigger diehard fans that can't take constructive criticism. On the flip side, you have a group of people that decide they dislike a game so much that they'll make fake accounts in order to post bad reviews, even on games they've never played. The worst part about this is that it's usually based on rumours, and the people who take part in review bombing aren't the target audience anyway. Again, every game made isn't designed around your likes and interests. It's okay not to like every AAA title or indie game sensation. These are the same people that will blame a game for having bad game design or poor balance, when in reality it's just their own lack of understanding of the game mechanics and systems. Part of picking up a new game or genre is learning new things, and if you can't understand that, then it's a mental skill issue. Imagine having the option to build complex relationships and have meaningful discussions with other like-minded people, but instead you choose to annoy everyone else, just to feed your own ego. The current state of online culture is a bit of a mess, and it's no wonder people look to communities to find some sanctuary. It's easy to get caught up in the arguments people have online, and sometimes we forget about the positives that come from online culture. As gamers, most of us have found friends within games or in a random Discord server, or tune in to the latest gaming showcase, or scroll through our feeds to look at the current memes surrounding our favourite games. We take these things for granted as they're part of our everyday lives. It's easy to get lost in the drama of the internet, when actually a lot of good has come from it. Online culture still sucks though. What do you think about online culture? Let me know in the comments, and stay tuned for our deep dive into the problem with gaming communities. See you next time!